Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudhi Gaura Bhaktavan Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare
Dear devotees, please accept my most humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to His Holiness Candramauli Swami Maharaj. Wishing you a very blissful, very auspicious, very blessed Gita Jayanti. Today is also Mokshada Ekadashi. On this day, Guru Maharaj likes us to focus on the holy name. In fact, today's daily drops is all about increasing our chanting, calling out to Mother Ekadashi, the mother of devotion. And so today we will be hearing His Holiness Candramauli Swami Maharaj speaking on the glories of the holy name. This lecture was given during World Holy Name Festival. So I'm going to start the video and everyone please listen up so that we absorb the message by our Gurudev and have a nice discussion afterwards.
Haribom.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Vanchakalpatarubhischa pipa sindhuve vacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Vanchikalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhave Vachapatitaram Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaho Namaha Yan Timirandasya Gyanajana Salakaya Chaksun Malitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namaum Vishnu Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimakti Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachadine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Pasyatya De Satarane Vanchakalpa Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. My humble obeisances to all the Vaishnavas online. And so we are discussing the most important of all activities within the process of pure devotion service, the glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is the essence of the practice of bhakti in the form of chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. There's a beautiful verse that really sums up the position of the holy name from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is Adi Leela, chapter 7, verse number 74. I'll read the Bengali and I'll also read the translation. Namavino Kalikale Nahi Aradan Sarva Mantra Saranama Esastramarm. Translation. In this age of Kali, there is no religious principle other than the chanting of the holy name, which is the essence of all Vedic hymns. This is the purport of all scriptures. And now we go to Srila Prabhupada's purport, which is quite informative. The principles of the Parampara system were strictly honored in Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, and Dwapara Yuga. But in the present age, Kali Yuga, people neglect the importance of this system of Shrauta Parampara, or receiving knowledge by cyclic succession. In this age, people are prepared to argue that they can understand that which is beyond the limited knowledge and perception through so-called scientific observations and experiments, not knowing that actual truth comes down to human society from authorities. This argumentative attitude is against the Vedic principles. It is very difficult for one who adopts it to understand that the holy name of Krishna is as good as Krishna himself. Since Krishna and his holy name are identical, the holy name is eternally pure and beyond material contamination. It is the Supreme Personality of Godhead as a transcendental vibration. The holy name is completely different from material sound, as confirmed by Narottam Das Thakur. Golokera Premadan Harinam Sankirtan. The transcendental vibration of the Harinam Sankirtan is imported from this spiritual world. Thus, although materialists who are addicted to experimental knowledge and so-called scientific method cannot place their faith in the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, it is a fact that simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra offenselessly, one can be freed from all subtle and gross conclusions. The spiritual world is called Vaikuntha, which means without anxiety. In the material world, everything is full of anxiety, where in the spiritual world, Vaikuntha, everything is free from anxiety. Therefore, those who are afflicted by a combination of anxieties cannot understand the Hare Krishna mantra, which is free from all anxiety. In the present age, the vibration of Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the only process that is in a transcendental position beyond material contamination. Since the holy name can deliver a conditioned soul, it is explained here to be Sarva Mantra Sara, the essence of all Vedic hymns. And the purport goes on, but I'll stop right here. So, the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, as is mentioned here also, has to be free from the offenses. Therefore, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami most of the time, not always, but many times, when he was giving initiation, he would always have the 10 offenses to the chanting recited as a way to help us become aware of the fact that there are very important activities that must be avoided in order to get the benefit of the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. The chanting of the Mahamantra goes through different stages of development. When the devotee begins the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, generally they are still chanting Namaparad. And as they practice and become aware of those offenses and avoid those offenses, they start gradually coming to the stage of Namabhas. Namabhas is a glimmer of the actual power of the holy name. It's used to compare in the sense that just like when the early morning hours are there and people are waking up, the sun is also coming up from below the horizon. At a certain point, the atmosphere becomes light and birds start to chirp, and one can start seeing the different forms in the atmosphere. But one still cannot see the sun. So this stage of awareness of the sun coming up, but not yet visible, although there is light present, is like the Namabhas stage, where there is a glimmer of the power of the holy name that is being accessed through the process of chanting. And as one continues to chant and avoid the offenses and engage in devotional service under the guidance of the spiritual master, one can raise himself to the position of Sudanam, or pure chanting, which is actually the goal of chanting. In the Shikshastikam prayers, it is explained in the second verse, Nam Nam Akardi Bahudani Jasar Vrishaktish Tattar Pitani Amita Smarane Nakalaha Eta Dishri Tavakripa Bhagavan Mamapi Dur Daiva Mindri Samihajani Nanduragaha. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Krishna himself, who came to practice the chanting of the holy name as his own transcendental pleasure and at the same time to teach the process of the holy name, speaks these 8 verses, which are known as Shikshastikam. The second verse of what we just quoted is that there are no hard and fast rules for chanting the holy name. But that doesn't indicate or eliminate the fact that one has to chant in such a way as they avoid the offenses. In the Mahabharata, which is a verse in the Mahabharata, which is mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita in Madhya Lila chapter 22, verse 113, it mentions that the essence of bhakti is 2: to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and to ultimately always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna, which is really centered around glorification of the Lord through the form of chanting Krishna's holy name. In that verse from Shikshastika, it mentions that there are many names of the Lord. In the verse, it mentions Krishna, Govinda, and then it indicates there are other names. Now, the acharyas say that there are 2 types or categories of names that are connected with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One is his primary names, and one is his secondary names. The secondary names are not to be chanted, but they are in relationship to the power of the Supreme Lord by which he facilitates his activities in the material world. Names such as Param Brahma or Ishwara, or even the word God. It indicates his functions, but not actually him itself. Still, it's a name that is indicated of the absolute truth. The primary names must be chanted as the means for glorification of the Supreme Lord. And in that verse, It ends, it says, Durdaivam idrisami hajani. The word Durdaivam has two different translations. One is, I am unfortunate. Why? Because I have no taste for chanting. And so getting a taste for chanting is concomitant or based on avoiding the offenses. Therefore, another translation for the word of Durdaivam is the reason why I'm unfortunate is because I commit offenses. And therefore, these 10 offenses, and along with the 11th offense, which is the offense that must be followed in order to avoid the 10 offenses, which is attentive chanting, must be understood and avoided by the practitioners. The first offense of the holy name is to blaspheme devotees who have dedicated their lives to the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. And that means that one is, there are a class of Vaishnavas who surrender their whole life to spread the glories of the holy name. If one finds fault with these persons or criticizes them, that is considered what is called hasti aparad, which means that one has committed an offense that is compared to an elephant that tramples into one's garden and destroys everything in it. We understand that, if you put an elephant into the garden, you can forget about your garden. There's nothing left. So this is considered hasti. Hasti refers to elephant. Must be avoided in order to progress in the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. To consider any other demigods like Shiva or Brahma or, Narada, any powerful demigods, to their names to be equal or even greater than the name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, Vishnu, is considered an offense also. The third offense is to disobey to the orders of the spiritual master, and sometimes they say to consider the spiritual master to be an ordinary person, to minimize his instructions and saying these are important and these are not important. This is a way to minimize the importance of the instructions, and this is also will impede one's progress in the process of chanting. The fourth offense is to blaspheme Vedic literatures or literatures in pursuance of the Vedic version. Prabhupada makes that comment in relationship to other religious traditions who have their own scriptures. They may not have pure religious scriptures, but still they have religious scriptures for a certain class of men. They should be seen in that way. And if people vilify them or criticize them, saying they are, not up to the standard, that is also an offense. Or statements that support the chanting of the holy name coming from various Puranas. Also, if one finds fault with that or minimizes that or disregards that, that is also considered offense. The next offense is to consider the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra as imagination. The glories of the holy name are spoken throughout the scriptures. And therefore, even it's understood that the glories of the holy name actually are an understatement for the actual glories of the holy name. One cannot glorify the holy name because the holy name of Krishna is non-different than Krishna himself. And so, to think that these are hyperboles, eulogies, exaggerations, and that is another form of offense. The next offense is to interpret the holy name by comparing it to something material in this world. For instance, chanting the holy name is like eating a nice feast, or chanting the holy name is it's like a refreshing bath, or compare it to anything that appears to be material. It's in the mode of goodness in the material world. That is another form of offense. The holy name is completely transcendental to everything material. And to describe the holy name, we have to take the glories of the holy name's descriptions that come from the acharyas and from the Lord himself. and not to create our own ideas of what the glories of the holy name are, because as it's mentioned in Kali Kale Nama Rupa Krishna Avatar, actually that's not the verse. The verse is Nama Chintamani Krishna Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purnya Sudya Mukta Abhinna Nami Nami No. In that last line, Abhinna means different, and Abhinna means non-different. The holy name of the Lord is non-different than the Supreme Personality of God in all respects. And that's also mentioned in that verse, Nija Sarva Shaktish, that verse we just quoted, the second verse from Shikshastika. Because in that verse, it says that all of the power, energies, forms, names, qualities, pastimes, all aspects of the absolute truth are contained within the holy name of Krishna. In other words, the holy name of Krishna is identical with Krishna in all respects. It is actually Krishna himself in the form of transcendental sound. It's just another manifestation of the absolute truth, and therefore non-different from the absolute truth. The seventh offense is Nam Nam Yasya Bali Papa Buddhi, which means that, okay, I hear that, by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, I can get freed from the reactions of my sinful activities. And therefore, I am going to perform some activities that are in the category of sense gratification, maybe a little intoxication here and there once in a while. And then I'll come back home that night and I'll chant, and I'll get free from the reactions of acting in that way. That is a very grievous offense. It's considered the worst of all offenses. Prabhupada at one time was questioned by the devotees back in the early days of 1974. There was one personality who joined the movement, and he was actually a very prominent personality who came along with many of his followers, and they joined the Hare Krishna movement. But after some time, he was smoking marijuana and chanting Hare Krishna and saying that this enhances your experience of chanting Hare Krishna. And he was trying to introduce that, and then the word got back to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada said his chanting is useless because you cannot commit sinful activities or break the principles and at the same time expect the holy name will deliver you from the reactions. This is if somehow or other, if one accidentally commits some sinful activity or some offense, then one can chant the holy names and gradually purify themselves from that reaction. But that is done accidentally, not purposefully. This verse, number 7, is if one is actually planning to commit sinful activities and expect the holy name to relieve them of that. The 8th offense, and sometimes we find that people commit this offense very easy. Well, I'm doing my puja, I'm doing my homa, I got my vrata, I'm chanting my mantras. So, and chanting Hare Krishna is just one of the many activities that are mentioned in the Vedas. So they're all okay. Yata mata tata pata. I'm okay, you're okay. As long as I'm doing some form of worship, then that is considered to be acceptable. But that minimizes or actually doesn't have a clear understanding of it. The actual position of the holy name. It's above karma kanda, it's above jnana kanda, it's above all kinds of activities in the Vedas that are mentioned in order for elevation to a higher stage. But chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is Goloketa Premadana Harinam Sankirtan. It's coming directly from the spiritual world into the hearts of the pure devotees of the Lord, who have achieved perfection in bhakti, and then they distribute that chanting to all of us in this, on this material realm here. So that eighth offense is, one should be very careful not to compare it or to equalize it with any other spiritual activity. The ninth offense is to instruct the faithless persons about the glories of the holy name. In other words, if you are speaking to someone and trying to explain the importance of chanting, you keep it simple. You say, by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, you can connect with God in devotion. You can free yourself from various sufferings and anxieties. But if you start to glorify the higher principles that the holy name will offer, such as the pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan, to such persons who have no understanding, and then that is considered to be an offense. And if people are averse to hearing your glorification or your instructions on the holy name, one should not try to force it, because it says that in the Christian scriptures, they also have a similar statement. It says, do not throw pearls, valuable pearls, before a pig. Because if you give pearls to a pig, he'll just simply chew on it or step on it. He doesn't know the value of it. So in the same way that we keep it simple, but sometimes we find that when we give a class or a lecture and we're speaking about the chanting of the glories of the holy name, there are people there who are doubtful, who are critical, who may not be qualified to hear. But sometimes that we take that chance because there is a large gathering of people and we speak. But still, we should be very careful not to get into the esoteric aspect of the glories of the holy name. And the last, number 10, and this is the I and mind concept. I've been chanting for so many years. I've read books about it. I've heard from my spiritual teachers about the glories of the holy name, but still I'm attached to sense gratification in this material world. Even though I've heard, I also understand to some degree, I still am attached to trying to enjoy in this material world. In other words, I am full of material desires and I'm still trying to fulfill them. It's called the I and mind concept, Janasamoham Yamaham Mameti. And it is the principle that keeps one on the bodily concept. Now, the 11th offense is interesting. It's in addition to the 10, and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that by carefully avoiding the 11th offense, one will lose the tendency, or will not have the tendency to commit the other 10 offenses. So one should very carefully, and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains, here is where you should apply your attention. Here's where you should look for advancement. To perfect the quality of your chanting by chanting attentively, regularly, and with as much devotion as you can acquiesce. In other words, this attentive chanting is a meditation. It's called mantra meditation. And so to come to the stage of meditation, one has to continually sound the names of the Lord and hear very carefully. Srila Prabhupada didn't give many instructions about the activities of chanting other than glorifying the holy name, but he did say one should chant and hear. When one devotee had asked him a question, Srila Prabhupada, when I chant, I can't control my mind. Prabhupada said, forget about the mind, just hear the sound. That's all. In other words, the mind will chatter in the background and come up with all kinds of things for you to get your attention. Just ignore that and keep your attention focused on the sound of the holy name. Chant clearly. This is important when we chant, because clear chanting helps to bring about attention. If our chanting is not clear, it will be hard to bring about attention. So therefore, we should sound it very clearly. And Srila Prabhupada also has demonstrated that. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. One of the things we should avoid when we're chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, when we're doing our prescribed rounds, do not try to beat the clock. Try to hurry your rounds up so you can finish it. We have so many things to do in life. We have other responsibilities. We're squeezing our rounds in sometimes in the morning or throughout the day. But whatever time you decide to chant, of course, the best time for chanting is in the Brahma Muhurta hour, the early morning hours. But of course, sometimes we're not able to because of a particular lifestyle or particular schedule that was required. But one should not try to, as we say, beat the clock. Try to squeeze in the rounds as much as we can within a certain time limit. Because what you're saying to Krishna is, I'm simply trying to get rid of you so I can do something else. And so Krishna is not going to really respond to that type of approach. We have to approach the holy name as we approach the deity in the same way. It is actually deity in transcendental sound, so the mood is in a mood of humility, as the next verse in Shikshastika says, humility, tolerance, pridelessness, and respect for others is the characteristics of one who is actually chanting the holy names of the Lord. One has to practice these qualities. And as we practice these qualities, then it becomes more natural to hear nicely the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. The chanting of the holy names of the Lord depend on a lot of other things also. Whether we're too tired, whether we are in a mood of serving. If we're not in a service mood, then it becomes very hard for us to actually get the mercy of the chanting of the holy name. So, but in this 11th offense, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur breaks it down into 3 categories of inattention. He says Vikshepa, Audakshina, and Jadya. Vikshepa means distraction. One is chanting, and then, one is making plans on what to do later, or some other thought process that one is dwelling upon. The thoughts may enter the mind, but as we mentioned, one should simply ignore them and continue with hearing the sound vibration very nicely. As we continue in that way, then the power of the holy name will diminish the effects of these mind interventions, and eventually it'll go away. So we should hear very nicely, chant clearly, don't be in a hurry, but chant with attention. And so this vikshepa, distraction, has to be avoided. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur says one of the more effective ways to avoid vikshepa is to associate with and chant with devotees who are fixed in the process of chanting the holy names. In other words, by good association. The next one is Audakshina. Audakshina means indifference, laziness. Okay, I got to chant my rounds. All right, 16 rounds. And so I'm just going, I'm kind of like chanting, but I'm really not really into it. I'm not trying to offer good attention, nor am I trying to really put my heart into the chanting of the holy names. And so it's just like, indifferent. It's like if somebody brings up a subject matter you're not interested in. They may be talking, but you're not even hearing. It's indifference or laziness, not laziness, but indifference, lackadaisicalness should be avoided. And the last one is jadya. Jadya means sleep. Sometimes we find that one becomes sleepy when one starts to chant. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives a formula. He also says that one should maybe walk around, and that will help one to stay awake. But the problem when you walk, there's many more opportunities to get distracted by the environment. So one should be aware of that and try to avoid that as much as possible. But he also said if this feeling of sleepiness continues, then one should stop chanting, get some rest, and then chant when one's mind is more fresh and alert. So this 11th offense is very important in helping us to actually get the mercy of the holy names of the Lord. Attentive chanting. So these are 10 offenses plus this 11th offense has to be very carefully. We have to understand it, avoid it, and then remain enthusiastic to chant. Chanting at the same time every day, sometimes it's not possible, but as much as you can, organize it in that way. On a personal level, I find that early japa is the best japa. When japa has to be chanted later on in the day, when activities are going on, usually the day's activities take up one's attention, and then one is trying to squeeze in the mantra somewhere just to finish the rounds. Best if we can arrange our schedule in such a way as to finish our rounds before we take our early breakfast. I find that's ideal. It's not always possible for those who travel, but if you're in a one place, and you don't have to travel so often, it's doable. You just have to arrange your schedule in such a way as you give yourself enough time to finish your rounds before you take your first meal. So these are some hints that we can use, but ultimately chanting is a prayer of the heart. It's a calling of Krishna to come and sit on my tongue, sit within my heart. We're actually hankering for the association of the Lord through the chanting of the holy name. And at the same time, we are glorifying the Lord by chanting his holy name. And as it's mentioned here, there's no greater activity than that. I'll end with one particular statement by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur about the glories of the holy name. And he says, there is no vow like chanting the holy name, no knowledge superior to it, no meditation which comes anywhere near it, and it gives the highest result. No penance is equal to it, and nothing is as potent or powerful as the holy name. Chanting is the greatest act of piety and the supreme refuge. Even the words of the Vedas do not possess sufficient power to describe its magnitude. Chanting is the highest path of liberation, peace, and eternal life. It is the pinnacle of devotion, the heart's joyous proclivity and attraction, and the best form of remembrance of the Supreme Lord. The holy name has appeared solely for the benefit of the living entities as their Lord and Master, their supreme worshipful object, and their spiritual guide and mentor. Whoever continuously chants Lord Krishna's holy name, even in his sleep, can easily realize that the name is a direct manifestation of Krishna himself, in spite of the influences of Kali Yuga. Now that's from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Okay, so I'll conclude here and see if we have any discussion or questions.
So dear devotees, all of you have heard the class. And if you wish, you're welcome to hear the discussion that takes place after this by going to this recording. I'll send the link. But I thought it is important for us to discuss on this very important topic of chanting the holy name, which is the essence of our daily practice. So I will stop the screen share. And I will request all of you to please put on your cameras if possible and share your views with all the rest of us. We will be very happy to hear from you. Or if you have any realizations on your chanting, or you want to share about your experiences chanting the holy name, or you want to contribute to the importance of chanting the holy name by something you have read, anything is most welcome. Thank you. So I don't see any hands up as yet. So while we are waiting for people to mull over today's subject matter and make their contributions, I want to just humbly offer that chanting the holy name is the basis of everything that we do. So if we put our energies, as Guru Maharaj said, into attentive chanting, that will reap very rich dividends for us. Because when the base is very solid, then the building is very stable. As we all know, the foundation of any structure is the most important thing. And so if we make our chanting very solid, then we will find that all the activities of bhakti get easier. And we have that solid basis to stand on. Anahita, Hare Krishna, you've raised your hand. Please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances, all glories to the Prabhupada. I'm sorry, I missed a part of the talk. I literally just jumped on. I'm driving now, but I do have a question, if that's okay.
That's fine. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Prabhupada, all glories to Gurudev. Shoot.
So it's regarding chanting because, and I don't know if this is a bit of a controversial question, but I know that in the movement there have been times where people have they might do kirtan, they might be reading a lot, and for me, I've been chanting like 16 rounds for I think like 13 years or something. Then I always chanted a few because I was brought up in that way, because I was born into the movement. So I was always taught that chanting was the most important because it's your connection with God and it's your conversation. But there's been people that, and it is hard, like I'll admit that I struggle with it, but that I endeavor. But there's other people who do, kirtan and things, and they don't necessarily chant. And I didn't know this, but I was kind of like, how does that work? Don't they sort of come hand in hand? You have to do both to be able to get a spiritual master and progress? Or I don't know, it's kind of a bit of a controversial subject, because I know that different gurus take different things or they accept different things, but I always thought 16 rounds and following the regs, that was the main thing.
Absolutely
if that makes
correct.
sense.
You're absolutely correct. There is no getting away from that, no matter what else we do. We might, build a leaning tower of Pisa, but we still have to chant our rounds. Srila Prabhupada said, of all the instructions, the most important instruction is to chant 16 rounds on the beads every day without fail. I'll give you an example that Guru Maharaj himself gave. When Guru Maharaj on his travels went to some temple, I think the temple president asked him this question. He says, I don't know what to do with this young lady. She comes every day. She dresses the deities beautifully. She's very, very invested in doing a very nice seva, but she will not chant. So Guru Maharaj said to him that try to encourage her to chant, because chanting must accompany all our other activities. And if she doesn't chant, then after some time, she'll just fall away. And he did say, don't force her, but suggest to her that this is our process and this is the most important instruction. And it will greatly help her if she chants. If she takes it up, well and good. Then Guru Maharaj went on his travels, and after several months, he came back and he asked, what about that young lady? And the temple president said, you were right. She just wouldn't accept that chanting must also, be a part of the process. And then after some time, she just stopped. So,
Wow.
this is the Yuga Dharma for this age of Kali. We may be a big short kirtaniya and we're wowing the audiences and, doing all kinds of things, or we may be a very big fundraiser for the temple and rushing around and making millions of dollars for this festival and that festival. But every single activity must be accompanied by our chanting. There's no getting away from that. If we are serious about bhakti, then chanting is the Yuga Dharma. There's no two ways about it. There is no other way, no other way, no other way. Lord Chaitanya himself says, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Name Kevalam Kalo Nasteva, Nasteva, Nasteva Gatiranyata. In this age of Kali, there's no other means of liberation other than chanting the holy name, chanting the holy name, chanting the holy name. So when Lord Chaitanya himself is declaring this to be the Yuga Dharma, how we can come up with our own concoctions and ideas and, people who say chanting is not important, they are deviating actually. So chanting is a must, no doubts about it.
Thank you so much for clarifying that. I think it was a bit of a Kali Yuga Maya moment, and I think some people, like you said, literally summed it up so beautifully, where people create their own beliefs to sort of help. I guess it might be in the mode of ignorance sometimes, isn't it, where they sort of believe that I'm doing the right thing, but I'm still doing bits and bobs. But yeah, it's like you said, chanting is the base and the foundation of it. So,
and it must accompany all the other processes. Narsingha Leela has brought out one very important point. This young devotee was quoting the scripture saying that any of the 9 processes, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, etc., any of them are equally potent and will give the desired result, and all processes are legitimate, and that is true. All the processes are very powerful and very potent. But Lord Chaitanya himself has declared that chanting must accompany all our devotional activities. So we may, like to do pujas, archanam may be our favorite, or we may like to compose prayers, vandanam, but still chanting is key, chanting is essential. So Narsingha Leela, thank you very much for pointing out this essential part of that conversation that I had forgotten. And sometimes people use scriptures, to bolster their claim that they're doing the right thing. But that is why we need the sadhus to explain the scriptures to us in such a way that we can follow correctly. What she's saying is technically correct, because all the 9 processes are potent, all the 9 processes are legitimate, but for this age of Kali, chanting is key. Chanting is essential.
Thank you so much for clarifying that. Thank you.
Thank you for bringing out a nice point. And thank you, Narsingha Leela. Very nice point you brought out. Shilpesh Prabhu, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Guru Maharaj, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to the devotees assembled on this call.
Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Prabhupada, all glories to Gurudev, and we pray that you're feeling better today.
I am feeling a lot better. It's a lot of mercy from all the devotees, I think. Yes. Yeah, I wanted to ask you, you spoke yesterday, you said like sometimes Srila Prabhupada said just find yourself a corner and chant, when you're really disturbed and stuff. But sometimes, your body and mind just won't give you the energy. And, I sometimes struggle to finish my rounds because of that. Sometimes I'll stay up, I'll have a lie down maybe at night and then wake up again to try to finish. So what do we do when the body and mind just doesn't want to give you that energy to chant? Because sometimes I've realized we do need energy to chant. It's very difficult without energy. And, if you're feeling sick, it's very, very difficult.
Yes, we need energy even to chant our rounds. That is why taking meals at regular intervals at proper times, nourishing, healthy, wholesome meals, not skipping meals, making sure we are well fed, well rested, having enough sleep. All these things are very important for our spiritual life. In Bhagavad Gita 6:17, Krishna himself says, one who is moderate in eating, sleeping, work, and recreation can perform the yoga process. So, if we are, sleep deprived or we have not eaten for a long time, it's going to impact our energy levels. And so, therefore, striving for regulation in our activities, going to sleep early so that we have enough rest when we wake up, eating meals on time, eating wholesome meals, not just snacking and going on with fast food and things like that, proper meals. All these things are very important. And say you have, done all that and you're still very tired, have low energy, then better to take rest. As Guru Maharaj just said, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, if you're very sleepy, very tired, then make up for it the next day. Sometimes your body just will not cooperate and you're practically falling asleep over your beads. You're just trying to keep yourself awake and your attention is on the bed and the pillow and how inviting that coverlet is. I want to just snuggle and go to sleep. It means that your body is just finished. You cannot chant anymore. So we have to respect the needs of the body also, because flogging the body is not going to help. At the same time, if after a good night's rest, first thing you wake up in the morning, mind is saying, oh, no, again chanting. Why do you need to chant? Come on, you need to go to sleep. Then you should definitely not listen to your mind, because the mind is very naughty. It's a rascal. It's always telling us to do the wrong thing because it has been in command for so many millions of lifetimes, and now we are trying to escape from its command. So it doesn't want to let go of its prisoner, which is us, the real self. So it tries to capture the soul again and again and make it do wrong things. So it is very important to resist the pushings and pullings of the mind. If all the other things are in place, you've had enough rest, you've eaten well, and now it's really time to chant, then you should ignore the pushings of the mind.
Good. That's really, really helpful. Thank you, Mataji. Yeah, even when I'm not able to chant and I'm lying down, I still try to listen to a class or some play kirtan or something. So my mind is always, on Krishna as much as I can keep it there.
Okay. What we'll do is we'll take the questions and then go to the Shastra that Narsinga Leela has given. I saw two hands raised. One was Raj Prabhu and one was Meghna. Do you still would like to ask questions? Or should we read what Narsinga Leela has kindly given us? Okay. So we don't have any questions. And we will go to this nice quotation. So Narsinga Leela says there are 9 destructions on the Bhakti path. Yoga Sutra Patanjali 130 says this. Let's see. I'm not able to. Okay, 9 distractions on our journey to the Supreme Lord. Vyadhi or disease, the slightest discomfort in our body distracts our mind. Sure enough. Dhyana means thick and sticky in this condition. Chanting 1 round may take 2 hours. Samshaya or doubts. Pramada or inattentiveness and negligence. Alasya or laziness. Avirati or attraction to something else, cell phone, WhatsApp, Bhranti Darshan, a wrong philosophy, Alabha Bhumit Katva, or inability to reach a certain platform, and Anavasti Tattva means even if we reach some stage, we cannot stay on the stage. These distractions may become an obstacle, but we can choose not to be distracted. To overcome these, we need to train our mind to concentrate on Eka Tattva. There is only one truth, and this is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Sambandha Gyan can help us to concentrate on this. First, we have to develop strong Shastriya Shraddha and not be satisfied with the level of Shraddha we have. The proper Shraddha should be created by studying Srimad Bhagavatam. Yes, we need to read, we need to understand, we need to hear the glories of the holy name, we need to understand the glories of the Supreme Lord Himself, why we are doing what we are doing, what is this process of chanting all about, why do we even chant? Why are we chanting? What is the importance of chanting? All these things we must understand very well. Then we'll be able to apply ourselves to it. Supposing I tell somebody, hey, read this book, it's good for you. They will say, what's in the book? How am I going to benefit from this? How am I going to improve my life by reading this book? Why should I invest my time and energy in doing this? Explain to me how this is going to help. So, as Nashika Leela says, our Shastric knowledge will help us to overcome the Audasinya, Jadiya, Vikshepa, the three types of inattention to the holy name when chanting. Yes, studying the scriptures is essential for this reason, to solidify our faith, to improve our understanding, and to create that strong conviction that this is what I want to do. I want to use the human form of life to go back to Krishna. This conviction must be there. So Raj Prabhu, you had raised your hand, I believe, and Meghna Mataji, you had also raised your hand, but I don't see it up anymore.
Yes, Mataji. Actually, I wanted to ask, like, I've been chanting only 8 rounds every day, so I wanted to know, like, how can we increase our rounds? So yeah, so I'm struggling with chanting 16 rounds every day. So I'm staying committed to chanting 8 rounds for now. So like, I wanted to know, like, how can we like increase and uh, yeah.
Wow, that is beautiful that you're committed to chanting 8 rounds every day. That's an achievement. To even be able to do 8 rounds every day is fantastic. And we congratulate you for reaching that point. And we pray that you will be able to achieve your heart's desire, which is to chant 16 rounds every day. See, it all depends on our schedule. I remember the time when I was stuck on 8 rounds for such a long time. I was doing my PhD program, I was working at a job, I was, managing my home and trying to do so many things. And I just seemed to be stuck at 8 rounds. It seemed impossible for me to find time to go beyond that. And I was telling my god sister, oh, I don't know when I'll ever chant 16 rounds. It just seems impossible. I'm trying and this and she just said with great conviction, you can do it. And the way she said it, with such conviction in her heart, it just went straight into my heart. And I thought, yeah, I can do it. I just have to try. And so I began trying to find ways and means to find, 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there, 20 minutes there, and somehow, come up to that. And Krishna's mercy, I managed to reach about 10 or 11 in the morning. And then it became much easier to do just the leftover, 4 or 5 rounds, say in the afternoon 3 and in the evening 2, like that. So the main thing is to increase that big chunk which you already have. Say 8 rounds you're already chanting. If you can somehow add another 15, 20 minutes and make that say 10 rounds or 11 rounds, hey, that's victory. Because now you have crossed into the 75% range. Then all that remains is tackling the 3 or 4 rounds, which is you have the whole day. And it's easy to find small chunks of time, like, a lunch break, instead of say taking the whole 1 hour, say you take 45 minutes, and then 15 minutes you chant 2 rounds. And then in the evening, after you finish with your day's work, you take just 15 minutes and chant the last 2 rounds. And hey, you're done. And that feels so good when you reach that point where you actually chant your 16 rounds every day. Believe me, it makes a wonderful, wonderful difference to your life. So look at your schedule and see where you can plug in some extra minutes to choose some extra rounds, especially first thing in the morning. And then the rest will become easier to tackle. Right now, you're at 50%. So if you can manage 75 to 80%, then the rest 20%, 25% will be very easy. Is that helpful, Meghna? I'm not hearing any answer.
Yeah, sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, I was saying, yeah, thank you so much. I think it was really helpful. Also, I had one more question. Like, can we do chanting on counter also, like while we are in office or somewhere, like uh, the digital counter that we get, or it's not very effective to do on counter?
I know some gurus, say that instead of no chanting, some chanting is better, but generally our Guru Maharaj doesn't really recommend that.
Mhm.
He
Okay.
doesn't recommend that. He likes us to chant on Tulsi beads. He likes us to chant with a bead bag because the sense of touch of the holy basil, the Tulsi beads, is very
Mhm.
important in increasing our concentration because it's ear and it is the touch of the beads. Both these things are very, very helpful for us. So best is
Yeah.
to chant with beads. Best.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mataji.
Welcome. Where are you from, Meghna? I believe this is the first time you're joining us. Welcome to our group.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I met you and your group at the Govardhan Eco Village. So one of the Matajis added me to the group.
Very nice. Welcome, welcome. And Guru Maharaj is the one who usually gives the lectures, but just today he was a little busy. But normally Guru Maharaj is giving daily classes, so you will get to hear Guru Maharaj. Please stay on
Okay.
and join us every day. We'll be happy to have you.
Sure. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Shilpesh Prabhu, go ahead.
I just wanted to ask, are there any prohibitions to using tulsi beads? Like maybe if somebody's still eating non-veg or they eat garlic and onion, is there such a thing?
Well, we don't, prohibit chanting to anyone, but we definitely recommend that they stop eating meat and fish and things like that. We recommend that they uh, avoid onion and garlic, but we don't. As far as I know, wearing the tulsi kanthi mala is prohibited to those who are eating. But I have not heard anybody being prohibited from chanting. I don't believe I've heard anyone being prohibited from chanting. We generally give the beads to everyone who comes into our temple. Sunday, so many visitors come. We don't know what they eat and what they do, but I have seen that, devotees go around and give beads to them and make them chant, you know. So I have not seen anyone being prohibited from chanting on the beads like that. We give to guests and visitors without knowing their background.
I meant specifically tulsi beads because often we tend to give neem beads out at the temple.
Neem beads. Good question. I've never thought about that. I'll have to research a little bit, Prabhu. I don't know what is the policy and I don't know what is correct. So let me find out more details before I say anything.
Oh, thank you, Mataji. Thank you.
Thank you. Nice question. Anahita still has her hand raised. Is that just okay? Raj Prabhu
Hare
was
Krishna. Oh,
there.
sorry. Hare Krishna Masti. Sorry, I just wanted to say something quickly on the chanting question about rate going from 8, because I was on 8 for like a really long time, and then I think it was about 13 years ago I went to Mayapur for the first time, and I just got like, I had such an incredible experience. I came home, and then 13 days later I was chanting 16 rounds every day. So maybe it might be going to a spiritual place. That was my experience anyway.
Jai, come to Mayapur. Beautiful.
And the other question I just wanted to ask, is there any more information on the retreat in Italy with Guru Maharaj?
I haven't heard
about
anything.
booking?
Even I'm waiting to hear. I don't know what
Okay.
else is new. So far, I haven't heard anything.
Okay, no worries. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Raj Prabhu, please go ahead.
Yeah, there should be an email coming out any day now with information on the retreat and how to sign up. They're just finalizing some information with that they need to complete it, and it should be available any day now.
Oh, okay. Well, real quick before we go on to your question, which is the nearest airport to book our air tickets to?
Well, I think it's the one in Florence. There are 2 airports, one in, I think, Pisa and one in Florence, but it looks like the one in Florence is closer.
Okay, thank you. Yes, please go ahead with your question.
Yes, my question was around, obviously anybody can chant, but are there any, it feels like there are possibly certain things that we should do or that we should not do, or both, that will that are almost like prerequisites to effective chanting.
Well, we just heard from Guru Maharaj that we must very strictly avoid the 10 offenses, and the 10 offenses can be quite easily overcome if we avoid the 11th offense, which is inattention. Actually, that's the root of all the other offenses. So, Bhaktivinoda Thakur encourages us to focus on attentive chanting and to eliminate all those things which promote inattentive chanting. You know, chanting with people who are looking at the cell phone, who are distracted, who are talking to others, will promote that same kind of behavior in us. While chanting with those who are fixed, who are focused, who are determined, who are attentive, who are enthusiastic, will promote our chanting also to that level. So it all depends on the association we are keeping also. That makes a big difference to our chanting. And then, as we said, keeping in mind all the things to be avoided and things that promote our Krishna consciousness. Reading something about the holy name before you begin chanting, doing a short morning program, even if it's just prayers to Gurudev, prayers to Tulsi, prayers to Nrsingadev, chanting Shikshashtakam prayers. Guru Maharaj has given us all this. Namashtakam prayers before chanting the holy name, prayers to Tulsi Mala before chanting. All these things help us to strengthen our resolve to chant nicely in the morning. So you can adopt all these things. There's also a little booklet by Mahatma Prabhu. It's called Japa Affirmations. It's a tiny booklet. And it's beautiful because it helps us to create that mood of understanding why japa is so important. So even reading one of those points will be helpful for our japa in the morning or anytime, actually.
Okay, thank you, Mataji.
Thank you. We had Sukhavaha Mataji who had raised her hand. Sukhavaha, you still want to ask a question or contribute something, share a realization? You're on mute.
Haribol. Hare
Haribol.
Krishna. How are you?
Good.
Please accept my obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to our Guru Maharajas.
Nine. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to our Gurudev.
So nice to hear again from Guru Maharaj and you. I just wanted to check, about that Tulsi bead question. What I have heard is if you are following 4 regulative principles, then you are allowed to chant on Tulsi bead. But I'm not 100% sure about that. That's the correct thing. But I remember hearing about that Tulsi beads are only for those people who are following 4 regulative principles. That's what I wanted to say that, yeah. Yeah, we can still check it, but yeah.
Yeah.
Basically that was the case. Also, can I check with you? How do you know that you're improving in your japa? Is there any way we can find out that, or like we've been chanting, but is it something we are doing right, something we are not doing right? How do we know?
Well, we can check ourselves, 3 months back, 6 months back. How was I? Am I having the same issues even after 6 months? Am I having the same problems even after 4 months? Have I given up my attraction for sweets, for cinemas, for internet, for WhatsApp, while chanting? How am I chanting? Am I improving in my hearing? Am I improving in my concentration? Am I really calling out to Krishna? We can check for ourselves how we are doing by the level of attraction we are developing for the holy name as compared to attraction for the activities. One very important, and actually this is a key to our advancement also. How much am I doing attraction for material enjoyment? And how much am I getting more and more fixed up in my services, in my absorption in Krishna's seva, in Krishna's holy name? These are the two keys to check how much we are advancing. Are we getting more and more absorbed? Are we losing our, taste for enjoying this material world? So we can check ourselves like that.
Sorry, I'm just cleaning at the same time. So yeah, Hare Krishna, thank you. That's a good help. Haribol.
Haribol. Nice question. Okay, I don't see any other hands raised. And if no one has any further questions, if no one has anything more to share, any realizations, we can end the call. And what I will do is I will send you the link. So if you wish to listen to the rest of that class where Guru Maharaj, takes up questions, you're welcome to go on this link. Let me just share it with you. It's the glories of the holy name. This lecture was given during World Holy Name Week, and it is on YouTube. I will send it to you right here. And you should be able to access the rest of it. So thank you all very much. My humble obeisances. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Guru Maharaj ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Guru Sangha ki jai. Hari